Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today I'm going to fill you in on a little pet peeve of mine. This is something that's really become much more prevalent in my life over the last couple years, and I think it's something that a lot of anglers completely overlook to the point where it's costing them fish, and at the same time, it's affecting the techniques that they're using when on the water. And this is not just a bass fishing thing. This is a fishing across the board. Saltwater, freshwater, does not matter the species. There's a lot of anglers that are just not fully understanding how important this is. Now, before I do get into that, though, I want to remind you that I do have a members only channel. So if you're looking to get some additional content from me, check that out. You can go to my description for this video, find the link to the members only stuff. I also appreciate it when you use the Tackle Warehouse affiliate link that I provide also in that video description. Great way to support the channel. The little bit of money I make from that comes right back into making content for you guys. So that's very much appreciated. And maybe this is going to be something that affects your tackle purchasing down the road. So let me give you a little background on this. This was something that I decided to do a video on after doing a video probably a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, on how rod companies don't have specific specs to determine what an actual rating of a rod should be. Meaning one company's 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod is completely different than another company's 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod. You would think they would be similar. You would think that maybe there's some sort of rating system, that would indicate what a rod should be, but it's really not. It's up to what that company wants to do. It's up to what they think it should be. Well, the same goes for almost all terminal tackle. The most important piece of terminal tackle is your hooks, and hooks do not have some standard sizing chart. If you go and compare hooks from one company to the next, you might find that one company's 3/0 offset EWG worm hook is the same as a 2/0 for one company and a 4/0 for another company. As an example, I'll just show you these are two EWG hooks. And this is a 2/0, so you wouldn't think it would be a huge difference, but if I hold them close together, you can see one's got a much bigger gap on it. The hook point on one is much further ahead. Like, they're very, very different when you're talking about a 2/0 hook, which really should not, you wouldn't think would be that big of a difference. Here's the thing though, if you choose a 2/0 hook from one company and you go buy another 2/0 hook from another company, what you may find is that hook now does not work for the plastic that you had been using it with. And this is one of the reasons it's a pet peeve of mine, is because when I watch a YouTube video or when I, read an article, and the article states that somebody was throwing a 4/0 EWG hook with whatever soft plastic they were using. Not knowing the brand of that hook affects me, because if I just go buy a 4/0 of, say, the Berkeley Fusion 19s, it's not going to be the same as, say, a Daiichi or a Gamakatsu or whatever the other hooks are. They're all completely different. And when they're off by like one full sizing, with a lot of baits, I don't want to use a 3/0. I want to use a 4/0. I want a little extra length, or I want a little extra gap. It makes a difference. So if you read an article or hear somebody say they caught them on whatever, just a 2/0 whatever style hook, but they don't give the brand, it really does make a difference. And one of the things I mentioned earlier in this is I've seen this become much more prevalent in my own personal life with respect to owning core tackle. Core tackle, we have what we call the ultimate swim bait hook, the tush. We make the normal tush in a 2/0, 1/8, 3/16 quarter ounce sizes, and we make a finesse tush in a 2/0 hook, 1/8, 3/16, and a quarter ounce. So if I show you these though, side by side, see if I can get these lined up. I mean, that's pretty, come on, let me slide that one up. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit difficult, but let me just put them side by side. You can see the difference. They're both 2-aught 60-degree jig hooks. One is a Mustad, one is a custom-made VMC. So from that standpoint, when you see these lined up next to each other, they're completely different. Well, the reason we have the VMC and we call it our finesse tush is because it's a smaller gap. It's a more light wire hook, a sharp point. It's made really for your more finesse tackle, more of your 6 and 8 pound spinning gear, versus the 2-aught regular size with a much stouter jig hook. The Mustad hook is made for more of your bait casting gear, fishing at, a boot tail swim bait on a bait caster, or fishing on an Alabama rig, things where you have a much stiffer rod, heavier line, and you're looking to really set the hook hard. And I get questions all of the time from consumers asking me specifically, if you have a 2-aught 1/8 ounce or a 2-aught 3/16 ounce finesse tush and a 2-aught 3/16 ounce regular tush, what's the difference? Why do you have both of those? That doesn't make sense. Well, you can clearly see that the hook size is dramatically smaller. In fact, the finesse tush, probably their 2-aught would be equal to a size 1 in that Mustad 60-degree jig hook. That's how big of a difference it is, but they're both 2-aught hooks. So when you hear somebody mention specifically that they just use the 2-aught hook and of whatever hook style, it doesn't really help me much. I want to know who the brand was, because that's where I'll be able to determine, does this hook run larger? Does it run smaller? And the reality is, you would think that it would be consistent from one brand to the next. So for example, if I look at, these two size 2-aught EWGs, if I can line them up again. So one is a Berkeley Fusion 19 and one is a Gamakatsu. The Fusion 19 is what I would consider slightly smaller than the Gamakatsu. If I go with a 4-aught of the same two hooks, they're almost identical in size. So that change in size within a company's lineup as well, from a 2-aught to a 3-aught, might be bigger than another company's 2-aught to a 3-aught, but from a 3 to a 4, that difference might change to the point where now the 4-aught is the same as another company's 4-aught, even though the 3-aughts are different. It really does make a difference to me, because with some brands from one to another, you're talking easily a full size off. And in my hook choices, if I'm throwing a 3-aught with some baits, that's not going to work for another bait when I want a 4-aught hook. It really does make a difference. And maybe I'm just being really picky when it comes to it, but it's important for anglers to be aware that hook sizes are not similar from one company to another. It really does make a big difference. So let me know in the comment section, do you find that this is something that affects your fishing as well? Is it a pet peeve of yours? Maybe I'm just nuts. Anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support, and it pays to pay attention to the little details like this. It will help you put more fish in the boat. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. New video coming out tomorrow.